I got my Duvid is watching. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
The pressure's on. Duvid's in the chat.
See,
I like the choice of photo.
did you do that yourself?
I made that one, yeah.
Get out of here. All right, so let us hope that this all goes well. It's showing that I am streaming. We have a bit of a lag, and I do apologize. But I am recording this as well, so if it does not happen to stream live, other than being irate, we're on and we're on. It's go time, baby. Alright, sorry for the awkward intro. Because who we have here today deserves the biggest and the best of the welcomes and intros. The very person who is substantial and instrumental in waking me up out of the Abraham Matrix and bringing me to more knowledge and truth. The Viking Axeman, Rabbi to the Goyim, Adam, the Viking freaking Axeman, Green. Welcome to Wake Movement.
Thank you. Rabbi to the Goyim, huh?
This is Rabbi. You know more.
Yeah.
You know more Kabbalah than I bet you the average Rebbe.
Average Rabbi. Amalekite Moshiach. The Moshiach of the Goyim. Oh, we better be careful. We're on YouTube.
Yeah, that is one thing I want to preface. I meant to go over that in the stream.
Yeah.
Because
I meant to say I can only go like hour and 15 to hour and a half too. I forgot to say that.
Okay, so we'll run through. I have some questions that I have lined up, and I have them written down so that we don't have any dead air. And I do want this to be a little bit organic. I know in most of your appearances on shows, it's debating when we can find somebody to actually step up to the plate and debate you, which is rare these days. And then you do go on other people. Like you'll have Albert on, who is here in spirit. Albert Bashai, I freaking love him. And but usually you don't get a chance to Albert really doesn't ask you that, doesn't do like interview type styles. So what I wanted to do on this channel, which is many people know me from the Aquarian, which is what I am on Twitter and my other YouTube channel, but I already have lots of my friends on there I got from being on your show. So I wanted to try to reach out to an audience that hasn't been introduced to you before. Wake Movement, I first started doing conspiratorial type videos. I did one on Kobe Bryant's passing that went pretty viral. And so I was hoping that this video would get you out to a new audience. And so would you give yourself, say you were to reach a new audience, how would you describe yourself and what you're doing and your mission and goal with the No More News and now No More Religion on YouTube? And thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, and my main focus since I started my YouTube channel was basically getting to the bottom of Zionism. And in my view, Zionism is really just Judaism and Christianity and the Abrahamic faiths. And I'm very critical of the Bible, of the end times prophecies, the influence that it has over politics, and that's what I focus on my channel. I do debates, I do research and presentations, I do interviews with scholars or other content creators. I've done on the streets interviews and videos as well. I'm planning on bringing those back soon. And basically just a critic of the Torah and the supremacy and the barbaric views there. And I think that what differentiates me from many other critics of religion is that so many of them are scared to criticize the bitter truth about how awful these Abrahamic faiths really are and their prophecies, the genocidal supremacy. So a lot of people either just focus on Christianity and Islam and are scared to cover the real sacred cow. And a lot of people like to water it down or sugarcoat it, but I go full speed ahead at it.
You know, one thing I do admit to, and I am really not that. I don't go after Islam that much because I feel like we've been so successfully Islamophobicized through Hollywood, and where they've been demonized so much that I kind of stay. I just go for Christianity and its root. I feel like its base is the
Mhm.
Abrahamic Torah. There's this gentleman, I'll name him Sammy, on that I'm friends with on Twitter through you, and somehow he comes to a position where he promotes Islam and acting like it's not totally built upon the Hebrew scriptures, the Torah, like Moses, and without that you don't have Islam. Would you like to comment on that a little bit?
I know, yeah. Well, America is the Judeo-Christian values, and it's not Muslims, dominating Western culture for the last 1700 years. And also, it's the third religion to come out of this. And yes, they have the same blind spot as Christians do for by affirming all of the Hebrew myths from the Old Testament. Like in Islam, they revere all the same Old Testament prophets. They believe in the same stories. Not coincidentally, believe that they are the line of Ishmael from Abraham, the Jewish patriarch, and it came in. Islam started after the Talmud was already completed, and they already had that described as Ishmael and Esau and Edom as Christianity. So it's not a coincidence that they've kind of created these other side controlled opposition, controlled Hegelian dialectic religions. In really through Islam and Christianity, they've imposed the Torah on half of the world for the last 1700 years.
Something happened that I thought might happen. I created this stream and ahead of time so that people would jump on, and they say that I have it in the wrong um window, so there's people waiting for us in another chat, and so I copied and pasted it in this one. If somebody could copy and paste it in the other chat, that would be really helpful. But we're also recording, and we'll have it posted at the end. So you mean Alex Jones isn't correct when he says that it's really the Muslims who run Hollywood and the Federal Reserve?
No, exactly. That's pure distraction from Jones.
Did you say that Christopher John Bjorkness had like did a stream with Sam and exposed the?
He did, yeah. I didn't catch the whole thing of it, but basically Bjerknes was laying out why he thought Islam was also controlled opposition.
Totally.
And I mean, it just fulfills their prophecies too perfectly that they wanted the whole world to not become Jewish because you can't just do that. They're the holy seed. You need to be different. But they wanted the whole world, all flesh, to worship the God of Israel. And they accomplished that and boast that they accomplished that and say top rabbis say that was the whole plan, and this is part of the process to prepare the world for the messianic age and accept the Torah and the commandments and worship the God of Israel and be Judaized essentially. And
They they have they have authors talking about how Islam was created as the broom to Christianity. So eventually,
right, to clash with it and,
yeah,
and to divide the rest of the nations with two competing religions.
who both ultimately recognize the Hebrewites as the chosen people. Either, but some they strayed from the covenant or whatnot. And then even Islam has Jesus or Issa returning at the end in this apocalyptic just wait and for the end time apocalyptic war to happen. And then so these Christian zealots, end time profiteers, when they see such things as Russia and a possible nuclear war with America or whoever, they're almost rooting it on. They're like, just like the prophecies, the
Hmm.
scripture says. See, look, there's truth. When they use it as a script, they use the scripture as a script, and it's self-fulfilling prophecy. There's nothing magical about it. No more magical than all the predictive programming they did in our Hollywood videos and TV shows about Shemaim Malevin. That's call that magic, but it's really not so mystical, and it's not proving anything about the nature of God or whatnot.
Yeah, and also the top rabbis will say that Islam and Christianity were created as like Noahide compliant religions. With a little bit of tweaks, Christianity would be Noahide compliance. But that's actually part of the design, that it's not kosher and then it becomes kosher in a way, with the return of the kosher pig of
Yes,
Christianity
I was
by Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira.
that recommend that. Here's something in the news today. We have the guidelines for the Georgia Guidestone lines, and we have one of them being try to yours. I'll go back to you. I'm sorry. We have one of them being let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. On the Georgia Guidestones, are you familiar with what the Georgia Guidestones are?
Of course, yeah. I wasn't aware that it said a world court at the bottom.
It was like the number seventh one. I'm like, that sounds
It's
very.
weird that it said 500,000 people, because in in I think it's the Talmud or maybe Kabbalah. It there's, or definitely in the Torah, there's a theme of 600,000, the 600,000 souls that come from the Messiah, the 600,000 divine sparks of light, the 600,000 that entered into the promised land.
It's because they believe we're on the eve of the sixth ion age, Pisces age, going into the seventh ion age, the age of Aquarius, who's the seventh ring of heaven ruled by Saturn. Saturn rules Aquarius, and they so they incorporate the six into everything. The magic number six had to perish in the World War II event to meet this gematria, because one third had to get pushed through the flame to burn off the remnants of the mixed multitude. And so one third of six, one third, that's six three times, 666 is, it's, to the Christian thinks it's so satanic and demonic, but it's actually it equals 18, and 18's a lucky number, which actually relates to the moon and the tarot deck. And also, Jared Kushner paid 1.8 million $1 billion, which was unheard of, for 666, that building in New York, New York. So they do take their gematria very seriously, and they do know astrology. They use it. On this channel, I don't go into astrology because I save that for the Aquarian. That's my kind of spiritual refuse. And here I do more social and political and decoding stuff. And one thing I wanted to ask is a little bit off topic, but what you do is lots of black pilling. So always being like the messenger of tough news is not going to get you featured on everybody else's show. I know they're not so quick to have you on, to be associated with you. What are some things that you do to keep yourself from getting like depressed and just getting too black pilled? You have your beautiful daughter. She's a white pill in herself. She's past the 1.5 year mark just recently.
I do my streams.
The streams.
It motivates me to make videos to try to spread the word, and I just do my streams and rant and kind of vent, and I get to be with my little community or people with like-minded interests, and that's kind of what I do to not to cope. Isn't the word I would say, but you know it looks really bad the way things are going, and so many people are so sheepish and cultish and just like mentally weak that fall for these deceptions and are under these spells that it does get depressing and frustrating. But I'm still a pretty happy person, honestly. Like there's plenty of things in the world to be happy about, and if you can I focus on the negative a lot, like on my channel, but like in real life, I'm not, dwelling on negative stuff all the time.
Oh, has anybody ever recognized you out in public before?
Yeah, but really rarely.
Really?
Yeah, back when I was on YouTube, like it would happen very, really occasionally. But ever since then, my reach is way less than it was before I was banned and getting millions of views.
It's so stupid. Like, for they call you an anti-Semite. For the record, Adam, are you an anti-Semite?
I'm not. Anti-Semite implies that I hate all Jews, and I've always said that's not the case. So that does not qualify. It's all a weaponized term and a trick. Like the idea that I'm exposing awful things in the Bible or clips of what rabbis are saying or showing what their scripture and their interpretations and what their prophecies are, like pointing out their evil towards us and their hatred towards us. In no way they're trying to spin it like we're the evil ones for exposing the evil things, and then they'll say that's just a conspiracy theory. So, but I've debated these issues. I haven't had my videos refuted, so they can call you anti whatever, just like the Christians will call you antichrist when you expose that. And but it's really just a non-argument, just a ad hominem.
And then the actual definition that they try to push for anti-Semitism, when you look into it, it's like very Noahide. It's like thou shalt not blaspheme God or his sages. And then you even
Hmm.
hear Christians rooting for the Noahide laws, but like, oh yeah, well, don't you know Christians? I hate to be so mean to the Christians, but they think of you as an idol worshiper. So when they say no worshiping idols, that's directed to the Christian. They come up with some caveat like, well, the Rebbe's argue over whether it's this or that, but
Well, the Christians can cope with that. They can rationalize it because they believe the Jews are hardened in this age. They're supposed to be hardened. That's their role, is to not and to reject the Messiah. That's part of the script. That wasn't God's plan going. Somebody throwing a wrench in God's plan. That's the whole divine script that everybody's been playing along with. So they believe, and it's they'd be hypocrites if they said, "Oh, you guys are." Evil for calling us idol worshippers, because they think that they're destined for hell unless they follow the Messiah. So it's kind of the same thing, and they believe in the end times the Jews are finally going to have a mass conversion or be destroyed.
yeah, remember Benjamin Netanyahu was on Bill Maher's late night show when he asked about it. Like, he's like, well, the Christians think that Jesus is gonna come, and he's like, we'll see about it. I'm like, oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
damn, they know exactly what they're doing. That's what I said.
Right.
I made a post. I said Christianity was the strong arm of Judaism, as America is the strong arm of Israel. It's very much that same kind of scenario I see being played out, because most of America thinks they think we're a Christian country. And then so I try to argue. I'm like, you know what? It was actually Freemasons who mostly were our founding fathers, which is just another freaking Abrahamic based Judaism for the Goyim is what Masonry mostly is. Although they do incorporate some Egyptian deity type stuff, which even in the Old Testament they do it as well.
Hmm.
This is a little bit off topic, but what do you remember? Did you have a first like epiphany moment, like when you first realized like, oh, Jesus isn't a historical person? Like, do you remember like where you were? Like, was there some trigger? Was there? Do you remember a certain moment, or was it just confirmation? It was a slower process.
Well, I long suspected, I grew up in a religious family, and So they told me all the stories from the Bible really happened, but I had my doubts. I'm like, okay, these sounds like made up myths like I see everywhere else. So why am I supposed to believe that these are the ones, these all actually happen, all these magical things? So I thought Jesus was a real person, like some type of reformer, probably um, that they just made up the myths and exaggerated after the fact. That's what I thought was the case. But then, I probably some early documentaries, like there's a documentary Jesus wasn't there, but really in the last couple years, once I started reading Carrier's books and Dr. Robert Price and was it Ascaria, the Jesus conspiracy book, Acharya, what's her name?
Yeah,
Some weird name.
Yeah, she's like kind of like a new ager. She talked about astrotheology a lot. She died young, which is sad. Who was that French guy you had? Guyon,
Guyonnet, yeah. He didn't really talk about Jesus as a myth. He just talked about how Christianity was like a Trojan horse and controlled opposition dialectic.
One thing I like to bring up is that when a foreign country comes in and invades your country, one of the first things they would do always is go right to the temple and take down their edifices and statues to their gods and replace them with their gods and theologically conquer them and demoralize them, which is what Christianity did to the Europeans. I'm Irish, and I've been going into the history. The Roman Saint Patrick was a Roman agent through England to totally subvert Ireland and run out the snakes. Well, I'm bringing the snakes back to Ireland and kicking St. Patrick's ass out. They don't even really celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, it turns out. Your family, how did I remember you said your mom is like a saint. You really love her a lot, which I think is beautiful. So what does she say? Do you ever talk to her about Jesus and how you feel about it, or you just avoid it?
I usually avoid it and leave her alone.
Yeah.
She's like many longtime Christians, very stuck in her ways, and it's almost like, like a lot of Christians, it's almost like a crutch or like an addiction almost in a way. And it's like comforting addiction. And so I don't, if she wants to, she can watch my videos, but she doesn't.
That's why I think I'm like, if I go to like a hospice situation and there's some lady on her deathbed who's clutching to a crucifix and praying to Jesus, I'm not going to be like, this was a Jewish deception. I'm not going to leave her with that as she passes over to the other side. So
I have told her, and I always did as a kid, even when she'd force me to go, and I would express all my skepticism. But I don't pester her with it too much.
What about your wife? Was she like a Christian when you got into this?
Her family took her to church some as a kid too, but no, she, even before I met her, she didn't believe.
For the holidays, what do you plan on doing with your child if like for Christmas and Easter?
Just Santa Claus and Easter Bunny.
Yeah, right. There's nothing really super Christian about an Easter bunny or a guy coming down your chimney.
Yeah. I've always tried, like, I've never been super into holidays.
Really?
I don't get so obsessed with holidays like other people do.
I know. I do love the holidays.
One thing about my mom that it kind of bothers me is that I feel like she gets anxiety and stress that's completely unnecessary because she thinks that I'm going to be burning in hell. Like, that's a sad belief as a mother to think like, oh, my son, I failed my son and his soul is lost and he's going to burn forever. Like, that's just completely unnecessary stress on people that are controlled, by this fear-based mind control system.
Totally. Religion, and in our scriptures that we even have Jesus saying, I've come to tear son away from father, and not conducive to a wholesome family, really. And then the kicker is when these people say, well, where would we get our morals and our ethical ground without Judeo-Christian values? I'm like, the same Judeo-Christian book, Bible, that calls for genocide, infanticide, all types of immoral, horrible things. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of passages that are nice and warm and be good to your neighbor until you realize that the neighbor in in focus is only the other person of your faith. And then it looks on 99% of the world as trash, as the filth of the earth. It's totally unhealthy. Some questions that I have is you really gained some popularity on exposing Alex Jones as a gatekeeper to the Z world. Was there a certain moment or something that happened that a light went off in your head and you're like, oh, wait a second, I don't think Alex Jones, because at first you were friendly with Alex Jones, right? Or at least with people on InfoWars?
I mean, I wouldn't really say friendly. It's not like that I was being invited on the show or anything. Um, but I was a fan of Alex Jones, even though the first guy that introduced him to me kind of warned me, like, "Oh, this guy's controlled opposition. He won't talk about this,
Oh,
about
really?
the disease." Yeah, so I was always kind of skeptical, and I always kind of had that in my mind that, like, maybe it was true, maybe he really was. I would see some things that would make me think, oh, that's not really the case. But more and more as time went on, I saw him shilling more and more. People would call in, and the way he would act. And then, when Trump came up, it was just 100%, no question anymore in my mind. So I started making tons of videos, exposing him for all that.
Um, this Matthew North was really important. He made some videos that really helped to shine the light on truth for me. You had a relationship with him, a working relationship, a friendship?
Yeah, him and I would talk on the phone. We would text message. He came on my show a number of times before he just didn't want to do the internet anymore. It was causing him like anxiety and stress and people attacking in the comments. And I don't know, it was just, he was a young kid. He was only like 20, 21 years old. So it's tough. I know what it's like to be in this online space. And, yeah, so we did probably, five or so videos getting into Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, some of his research.
Mm. Yeah, that's sad. You don't think there was anything suspicious in his passing? I just feel like his videos were so like on point and just like detailed and just like you can't
Honestly, I really don't.
you,
I don't think
you
anything
think he had some
suspicious.
depression stuff going on?
Yeah.
And I mean, I can cope. I have to really make an effort to like jump out of a dark place and go for a walk, play some basketball, just unplug a
You play
little.
basketball?
Yeah, and I didn't play in school, but
But you play still today?
I can still play. I'll take you.
Where do you play? Where do you go play at?
My driveway. It's enough
Oh,
competition.
by yourself? I thought you meant like you go play pickup ball at the park or something,
I
or the
used
gym.
to, and then COVID
Oh.
happened, and then people stopped going to the park. Now I see people are out there now, but I'm in Florida and it's 90 freaking 5 degrees. I'm in my office, which has a window unit. It doesn't have central AC, and so if you see me sweating, I'm not high on cocaine or something. I'm just hot as shit. Whatever it can be. What what would you recommend? What would be your call to action when people they wake up to what's going on, especially with regards to our greatest ally and how perhaps they're not our biggest ally, and they are a threat to the state of our country and our freedom moving forward. What do you recommend people to do to get to get involved and to do something?
I think first you have to deprogram them and educate them from the brainwashing. And I think the key and the real root of the power is via all the Christians believing you're cursed if you curse them and they're God's chosen people and the whole Abrahamic script. Believing that they're able to get away with so much else. And I think it makes it so people are scared to criticize and people that's the biggest thing. If it wasn't for all this censorship, like way more people would be exposed to the kind of information I cover. So really censorship, focusing on the ADL and how they're trying to censor so much, and how awful their organization is, and just like educating people about how horrible these these Abrahamic beliefs are.
Do you have a message to the QAnon people out there who might be watching this?
Yeah, you've fallen for a psychological operation like the Trust Project of the Soviets to trust the plan. They're following the same template as Christianity as a controlled opposition cult, and just like Trump's not going to swoop in and save you, he's going to set up a ziocracy, and Jesus isn't going to float down from the clouds, and you shouldn't be trusting the plan. And
What?
check out all the videos I've done on Q. You can just search it on BitChute. There's a
Yeah,
bunch.
you tore that down pretty well. I think, and I know you agree that 9/11 and looking into the fingerprint on that whole operation, that was definitely an eye opener for me to realize the power where it lies in this world and the agenda at hand. People who I used to point to, you put a video up of Michael Collins Piper today. Man,
Hmm.
he's definitely somebody who was ahead of the game on this. Um,
Oh, dude, I think he died in like 2015, or maybe it was 2012. I should look it up exactly. But it's so frustrating that he's not around today to comment with his insights about Alex Jones and Trump and the Zionist agenda and everything that's been going down. That would have been awesome.
Christopher Bolin was somebody else who made some good videos and even wrote books about um, the event of the 11th of September. But Michael Collins Piper, in that video I watched, he called Christopher Bolin a character. I'm not sure if he meant that in a negative way or not, but I haven't
Oh
heard.
yeah, he hated him. He really
Really?
hated him, and
Why?
I don't know what to make of it. I haven't seen exactly why. I don't know the history, but I know they worked at some magazine together or something. But you know the way this is. Anybody, people get in the habit online of being, very competitive,
Mhm.
and egos collide, and
Okay.
people are very paranoid of that everybody else is an
Mm.
agent and stuff like that. So,
But
I don't know how much of it is that, like, exactly how everything transpired.
but
So,
you think Christopher Bolin's work is recommendable to look into for Shmime 11? Do you disagree
yeah,
with it?
yeah, yeah. His book Solving 9/11 has a lot of in his presentations have a lot of important information in them for sure, showing the Zionist connections.
I used to Ryan Dawson is somebody who's got a really good brain for remembering names and events, and he did some good work on 9/11. But then I've also seen some similar, like, he was really hard on CJB on when I saw a clip of him
Mm.
talking about him being on your show. And whoever disses Adam Green uh, gets dissed by me because no. But I haven't heard from him lately. What's his take been on the whole Russia conflict with Ukraine? I feel like he would be kind of a more pro Putiner.
I haven't watched any of his videos in years, but I have seen a little bit from his Telegram, and it's a lot of pro-Russia sentiments.
You don't keep in contact with him.
No.
Did you ever have him? Did you guys ever debate or have were on a show together?
Y- Yeah, I've had him on my show a handful of times. It's been a while though. In fact, the last time he was on was back when Sacha Baron Cohen spoke at the ADL. We did a video kind of analyzing that, and it got censored from YouTube. It did real well. I think it had like 60,000 views, 40,000 views, something like that, and then it got censored, of course. Can't talk about the ADL.
Muslim dressed up as a Jewish person going around and pranking people to make Judaism look bad and goofy. That wouldn't last a second. I
Mm-mm.
I did a video on YouTube calling that out, and I called out Vice News there and some of the founders of that. They banned me for and I talked about the R childs because they said a famous trope is that this family has power. So I just went to the Wikipedia page. I'm like, okay, let's look up the R child family, and it's like used often in a trope saying that they have a lot of power, and then which is a total anti-Semitic conspiracy. And then the rest of the Wikipedia article just goes to showing you all the power and all the stuff
Hmm.
that they own. And you're like, oh my god.
The connections to the creation of Israel also.
Yeah, the Balfour Declaration was the leader, was like the head, one of the heads of British England, giving the land of Palestine to the Rothschilds to be set up as the new state of Israel. Why would that letter be addressed to them if they were somebody who just irrelevant, doesn't have that much power?
Yeah, they funded some of the first colonies that were there as well, vineyards.
The Rebbe
Because
asked them
that
to
was the
buy.
prophecy. Yeah, the prophecy. And the Temple Institute used to have on their website that they might still be there actually. I just haven't been there for a while. That a top in the 1700s, a top rabbi sent a letter to the Rothschilds asking them to buy the Temple Mount from the Ottomans so that they could rebuild the third temple.
I know, but Alex Jones says that the Rothschilds have they've gone to the good side now, and they're gonna give back the money to the Goy.
Yeah, yeah, I can't believe he said that. That's I haven't played that one or even thought about that one for a while. Kind of that one kind of slipped my mind.
That's a real
He
hump.
also said Trump is being supported by the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds are good now. That was the spin he put on it.
You know, I mean Kushner and Ivanka Trump. You know, a fun fact is I was born in the same hospital on the same day as Ivanka Trump in New York,
Not the
1991.
same year though.
Yeah, same year, same exact day. Like Trump, like
You're as old as Ivanka?
yeah, I know. I've aged more gracefully than she has, but yeah, I am. I am
Wow. I
40.
guess I know. So to an astrologist, that probably means that you're the Antichrist, right?
Well,
She's Queen Esther, and you're the Haman.
that's how they're gonna, they make
Born like Jacob and Esau, born on the same day. What if you're actually twins, and you're the satanic other side leader,
what if
sent to destroy me?
we could have got separated at birth. I do
Yeah, like
say
Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker, right?
I've come back for you. I say China, so maybe I might be a Trumper. Yeah, our lives really took different turns, but I do follow her and I do have a low key crush on her. I mean, she's attractive. I think it's hard to, but she didn't have to do a typical conversion experience when she married Kushner. And I looked into her mother, and her mother very well may be with from the tribe of Jacob. I have to find out all these other words to use and stuff.
I've heard that theory as well, but
Or it could be
and I think.
Trump was because Trump's son, one of them was involved in a fraternity that was for the Jacobs.
Mhm.
If you're not part of them, why would you go join? Maybe are their parties more lit than the other fraternities?
I don't think it's the parties. I
The
think it's the
money.
business connections, probably.
Um, have you ever heard?
But I don't know if I buy that though. And it's like if that was the case, why would they have her go through a conversion at all? And I saw actually a bunch of the rabbis in Israel were pissed and were not honoring her conversion because she didn't do it legit. It's basically like because the hurdles that Chabad has for conversions are like incredibly difficult. They
Oh,
don't
really?
let you just.
Was
I believe so. Yeah. They really want to. The only reason that they accept it and even allow it is basically because who she is
I heard that.
would be my guess.
I heard Kushner Senior even made like a really poor taste like toast, like saying that he wasn't like at the wedding that he wasn't happy that this was happening, that his son
Really?
married a
I
shiksa.
know Carly Cross, who's dating Kushner's brother, they didn't like her because she was a shiksa, right?
Really?
That was in the news, yeah. And initially Jared and Ivanka broke up because she wasn't of the same tribe of Jacob. and she wasn't of the chosen holy seed, so they broke up. But then they got back together through Rupert Murdoch, the owner of
Fox
Fox
News
News's wife,
wife, an Asian lady, like
Chinese
Chinese.
wife, on a yacht.
Damn, you know a lot of stuff. I mean, I owe so much of what I've learned to you. And then I love watching Albert's been streaming more recently, and Albert Bashai, and he is just. I mean, he hits you deep with truth, but he does it in a fun way that I think his blessing of Ra and the sacred scarab helps to lessen the blow. One thing I see, I don't know if you agree, but the whole gender bending thing being a Kabbalistic magical trick almost. And also, I think depopulation is also mixed in there because I have twin sisters that go to Brown University, 6'3" volleyball stars, and they say that they think about 25% of the school is LGBTQ plus. When I went to school, it was 2% maybe. At this rate, we're all going to be gay by the year 2050. And there goes Amalek and Esau. They're not reproducing. And it's not some crazy far-right anti-conspiracy theory when we have Spectre. What's her first name? Nicole Spectre, where she says that Barbara Spectre, that it's the melting pot and Europe as a white majority is going to be a thing of the past, and the Jacobians are going to be on the forefront of that, and we need to accept that and even praise it. Yet, for one of Jacob's children to marry a non-Jacobian is they sit Shiva for you, and it's a disgrace on everything. But to turn that around, it's seen as just the worst, most anti-Semitic thing you could do. I think they're overplaying the anti-Semite thing, and I was so scared to be called an anti-Semite because I am in the world of academia somewhat, and I just had to get over that and stop being a scared little punk and say these are just names. And you could look at any of my work. I have a great love for all people equally. As a white person, I don't think I'm greater than somebody else. Do you think that white people are better than other people?
Mm-mm.
This is one of my gripes I have with Napoleonism. There's this movement. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I remember you super chatted in when I had one of those guys on, and he said it wasn't.
That answer was a little bit around the way, and that's good.
What is their doctrine that teaches that? And just to be clear, that I don't subscribe to Apollonianism.
Apollonianism. I don't know. I could never say that.
Yeah, the Vikings were ancient enemies of the Romans.
Yeah.
In fact, they forced Christianity on my people.
Yeah, you're I won't ask you to show your DNA results. You've done it plenty of times. But what I do really find humorous is that these Christians, when they find out that you're critical of them for being de facto Zionists, for being Christians, and then they go and call you a son of Jacob in crypto. I'm like, that's just a total misfire. Like, I don't know how they get to calling you a crypto by like you being critical of Christianity as well as Judaism.
Right.
What do you have to say to those to the Christian actual legit anti-Semite?
What I always say, it's like it's the most dumb response they could ever come up with. Like, I'm telling them that the Hebrew prophecies are all fake and to control you, and they're saying, "Oh, he's lying. He needs to bow to the Messiah." Torah Messiah is everything Hebrew about it. They're delusional, and really the people that do say that are such a fringe powerless minority that's it's just irrelevant and it's just absurd.
Yeah. I just wish that if it wasn't for the Zionist Christians, the state of Israel and their power over America wouldn't be nearly wouldn't even be existed. If it wasn't for Christianity, this desert sect probably wouldn't even be um around. And definitely if it wasn't for anti-Semitism, which is welcomed because it keeps them from assimilating. Because you assimilate, start mixing, and then there you lose that identity. And I'm all about mixed unions or whatever, but I see that agenda being pushed on us. I'm all about loving each other equally, no matter what sexual preference you might have. I don't need it pushed on me all the time, and I can see through to this agenda. It's not just perchance and just on accident. It's once you get these glasses taken off, it's hard to not be aware of these things.
Yeah, that we're sliding down the slippery slope really quick for sure.
And people will be like, well, how come you're so obsessed with focusing on these one people? And what do you say to that?
It's a topic worth investigating and worth specializing in.
I mean,
I mean, they'll brag themselves that it's like a phenomena. I mean, the Abrahamic myths, these stories of the Torah have dominated half of the planet, or the whole planet, really. Even though the whole planet doesn't believe it's still dominated for the last 2,000 years under this Abrahamic paradigm. So to say that like, oh, anybody that focuses on that or focuses on Zionism, is they don't want anybody to be able to focus on it. They don't want anybody to be critical of it.
I mean,
So they're just trying to silence us.
I mean, all the people that we've gone and fought wars against, especially since Shemaim 11, has been against countries who were deemed as threat to Israel, not to us. So there's us fighting their wars, America being the strong arm of Israel, as Christianity has been to Judaism for the past 2,000 years. We got Troggy Trog in the comments and Lisa, some great people. From your chats, we really did form like a community of sorts, and then then we're all friends on Twitter, and that has been somewhat of a support group. I had people messaging me on Twitter before going on the show and wishing me luck and telling me that I was going to do great and not to be nervous and stuff. And so thank you to all of those who for the positive.
Yeah, Troggy Trog will have to try to create a new Twitter account. I heard he got banned on Twitter the other day.
No. Did Frassel Rassel get banned too?
Yeah, I think so.
He was putting up some great content. Yeah, if you don't follow Adam No More News on Twitter, he on the daily he puts out fire posts. He's I check No More News and CNN before I check CNN and Fox. That's what I do. I look at CNN and Fox and flip between them two to see what they're pushing out. You know what they all agree upon is who could pander to the Zionist overlords, especially before any major election. I mean, the kingmaker on the right, Sheldon Adelson, whose only regret was that he served in the U.S. military instead of the IDF. And then to the left, we have Sabin, the creator of Power Rangers, who at a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton said if he's not the number one donor to the Democratic Party, then he would take out his testicles and smash them with a hammer on the table. And Hillary Clinton is at the table next to him laughing about it. We're stuck in between a Bolshevik left and a what would you call the right? This dichotomy they have us in.
Zionist and communist.
Jeez. Have you heard of this guy Mark Passio?
I have, yeah, I've seen a little bit from him. Never gotten too into him though.
He pushes for anarchy, but the way that he brings up anarchy, it's like not like chaos and just running around and smashing into jewelry stores and grabbing stuff. He talks about it, and it's funny that the Catholic Church actually puts this social solution forth. It's called subsidiary or sub, and it's that you should be able to rule yourself on the smallest level possible, and that only you take in help from a larger entity or body when it's just absolutely needed. And it's funny that the Catholic Church actually teaches that. They don't, and they're so hierarchical and authoritarian. But they did come up with that in the 60s or 70s.
I wonder what he would think about Christianity and Islam being intentional deceptions and controlled opposition. I wonder what he'd say about that.
You know, he came out of he breaks down cults, and especially how the military and the police are legit cults. He thinks entry level masonry. He was a practicing Satanist, and in like a pretty high up there, like around with Anton Levy, and other types. And then he broke out of it and exposed it for lots of the dark reality that I don't believe in an actual Satan, but these people do, and they go by it, sacrificing shit, perhaps even humans, according to him. And he really opened me up to how in cults, what they do, they initiate you through a hazing process, just like they do in fraternities and sororities. They break you down emotionally, physically even, to a near-death type experience, to be born again into their cult. They do it in the military, and they do a cremation of care ritual, so that you could go look at an enemy and shoot them without thinking about them as being human. And similar in the police academy, you look at somebody as a civilian, and you're this higher up police officer. So this cultic practice.
So what hazing ritual are you going to come up with for your cult, for the Aquarian cult?
They have to sit through a 2-hour live stream of yours. Joking.
Okay, good one.
Shut up. No, well, I don't have any initiation rituals into the Aquarian. I just
well, then I guess you're not a real cult then, if you're not breaking people down. Just a fake cult.
Well, I guess we break down. If you happen to be a Abrahamic faith follower, we break it down. We break down that false structure. That could be pretty traumatizing. So that's why I say, do watch videos of yours, because that does help break people out of it.
Troggy Trog says blue Gatorade waterboarding. Sounds like a weird fantasy.
Well, there's a story behind that, because I am.
Oh, okay, that's the thing.
Because I'm trying to replace the blood atonement sacrificial scapegoat human sacrifice ritual of the Catholic Church and the Passover of Judaism with water. I call it the sacrament of Aquarian, where we just take a pitcher of water and pour it into a cup and drink it. One day I had blue Gatorade, so that's where the blue Gatorade came from.
So blasphemous. You're gonna burn.
Burn
for that blasphemy.
Let it burn, baby, burn. I promise you I wouldn't talk about astrology on this channel with you, because
please don't. I'll sign off if you do.
We know you don't do that.
I'll still get accused of being in a new age cult though for
you still
for
get
agreeing
that?
to come on your show.
See,
I called it the when I had you on, and then of course these Spurgs are all over it.
Yeah, if somebody else doesn't believe in astrology, I don't give a damn. I'm not here to convert you by the sword to astrology. I don't think many people are. It's just something I find useful. But when this one guy did make a video calling me an antichrist priest of the New Age. I don't like the word New Age because when I think of New Age, I do think of that coexist bumper sticker of all these faiths that want to kill each other hanging out together. What I am doing is trying to offer, I don't like the word alternative, but I'll use it now, an alternative to expressing spirituality in community without carrying forth the Abrahamic mind effery.
I think the only way it works is if people actually believe they've actually been duped to believe it's true. I don't think you can do it based on pretend.
What's that?
Like people have to sincerely believe and be that these myths are true and these gods are real.
I know. I'm trying to do
like,
it.
Do you think anybody's motivated to go to church if they think that Jesus didn't really exist or he really didn't do any miracles? His death didn't save them. Would that motive? If people don't sincerely believe that, will they really go to church?
I think
willingly.
I think some just go because like their wife drags them, or my parents ultimately just did it because they thought that I needed to come up with some type of moral faith system. They thought that I wasn't going to get it anywhere else. I mean, where else? Not to argue for religion, but where else is who spurs us on to virtue, a life of virtue and virtuosity? Religion can do that. Religion can give us a sense of community. If we don't have it there, then what we have: sports team, of fanship, of we all
Republican or Democrat,
identity politics. So religion can reach after that. So lately I've been like, you know what? If somebody's going to call the aquarium a religion, which I'm not all that comfortable with, maybe I thought for a while maybe I'd start taking that on more wholeheartedly and just take on that as a weapon. And so I was wearing like a priest, like a collar, and calling myself father just to show how stupid it is. But I stopped doing that so much because I don't think it was helping the cause anymore.
Yeah, it's funny for a spoof, but maybe not have it be your whole thing.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to an hour. Thank you for coming on. Do you want to pledge your allegiance to the Aquarian religion before you leave? What do you think when people call you pagans? When they're like, "Oh, he's a pagan."
That's just like the go-to Christian J-ish response to anybody that doesn't want to bow to the God of Israel. That's what they'll try to. It's their term to try to put you in a box to just dismiss you because that's the enemy. That's the other side. That's the boogeyman.
Yeah, I used to, because of my Christian upbringing, somebody were to call me a pagan, I'd take that to harm, like that would hurt me. And now I'm like, the pagans that means they didn't give into this total brain effery from the Judeo-Christian scam. So good for there's like a pagan, they call it neo-paganism or revivalism, which I support. I think we should. One thing that they want us to get rid of our gods because they think that we lose our heavenly help, our spiritual support. And I could see that being a thing, you know? It's at least, if it's not real in some sense, if it's real in the minds of people, of men.
Right, there is some truth to it because even though the gods aren't real, it's still just the belief in something kind of makes it real in a way.
Yeah, so what I do is with the Aquarian, I try to bring back and I encourage people to get in touch with their ancestral traditions and beliefs, and of course in the modern day, I mean, not believing in some crazy stupid stuff, but in meaningful spirituality. Do you believe in spirituality?
What do you mean by that?
Do you believe that we have souls?
Not really. Haven't seen any good proof or heard good arguments that we have souls.
Yeah, the soul is usually attached to like our emotional realm. Like a spirit. I know that's what I was thinking. I'm like spiritual. I mean, meditation is meditation a spiritual thing?
No.
Yeah,
Just what? Just sitting there and not thinking about
like
anything
it's
or
trying to relax your mind.
breathing a certain way? No, I don't think there's anything special about it.
That's like if somebody said like spiritual, like what? So there's like a world like with a bunch of angels and demons flying around our heads, and we just can't see them. Like, is that what the spiritual world to be? Is that
I
what,
know that's why I'm asking you to define what you mean by it.
I know I've been thinking about this one for a little bit, and I had a hard time defining it. The mystical experience.
What does that mean?
There is something that happens. There's like some type of surrender that happens to like trying to control everything, and when you
Surrender
surrender,
is what you do when you lose.
I know. But I don't.
Surrender doesn't sound like a positive term
Well,
to me.
when there's people out there who want control over everything, and if there's something that they can't control in life, and they freak out, so you have to surrender to accepting that there's things that we can't change. The weather. That's a bad example, but you get where I'm going with that. You're gonna
I
say no.
really don't. No. These are just like words that don't like really have any meaning.
Yeah. Spirituality. And I know if I were to look up a definition of spirituality, and like things pertaining to the spirit, and then how would you define?
That's using the term in the definition.
Yeah. So how do you define spirit?
Like Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah.
Ghosts, the Holy Ghost.
What is,
I was terrified of ghosts as a child because I believed in the Holy Ghost.
they
I was
changed,
told demons were real, ghosts were real.
what do you think happens when we die?
Same thing that happens before we're born.
I heard somebody else give that answer recently on an interview.
Hmm.
What do you think about people who have near-death experiences and seem to have similar accounts?
I think the brain does crazy things when you're, about to die or slipping in and out of consciousness. Not any crazier. You can have crazy so-called near-death experiences every night when you dream. I've had dreams where I die.
And then what happened? Just woke up.
I usually wake up. Yeah.
I remember one time you say you had a dream that you confronted a Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL.
I did. Yeah. Yeah. I had a little recorder and I was asking him tough questions.
That would be epic. One thing many people don't realize is that the ADL came out of B'nai B'rith. B'nai B'rith is a legit secret men's society club, like masonry, except for the Jacobians. And that's what
What's sad is how has nobody ever confronted Jonathan Greenblatt? Nobody's ever like ran into him somewhere and pulled out their camera and started talking trash to him. How's that never happened once?
I have lots of questions for a Jonathan Greenblatt. Do your Jonathan Greenblatt impersonation.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to hear him.
I would like to
then
call
I can
attention
try to copy it.
to the horrific. You used to do some good. You lost the God voice too. Somebody.
Yeah, that had to go through another program, and I think it was introducing like noise and bad effects, so I skipped it.
Same thing here. Same thing here. All right, well, Adam, do you have any more shirts coming out? You used to make some cool shirts, or did you have somebody who used to make them?
No. Since stopantisemitism.org or possibly the ADL to try to get my Squarespace website shut down, I don't have a shopping cart, and I used to just go get the shirts printed and printed the labels and bagged them and shipped them myself, and I'm not able to do that anymore. Although, did you see the thumbnail I had from my last video? It's the They Live Jesus as the They Live zombie, and it says consume at the top.
No.
One of those where it says obey. That would be perfect.
Someone's
probably gonna steal the idea too.
I do screen printing. So I'll try to do something for you. Although only a couple of colors. If the image is too complicated with too many colors, then you have to send it off to a professional. Yeah, but I like trying to bring kind of our pre-Christian symbolism and art out into the sphere, and then turns out it's all labeled as like anti-Semitic, like the legit symbols of our people
Mhm.
like are anti-Semitic, just a Celtic
Yeah.
cross.
All of the ancient European symbols have all been labeled on the ADL website as hate symbols.
That
Funny.
is,
Who do they think they
oh,
are to decide, that every symbol of a people is hate speech? There should be a website created and just have the Seal of Solomon, the Star of David, labeled as a hate symbol because that's what it is.
yeah. Or how many people have died with the cross as their symbol on their shield, or killing another white
Well,
person?
they might have the cross or a version of the cross
They had the
on
Celtic
the
cross.
hate symbol list, but for sure they say the cross, and Christians have always persecuted them and are evil. Are a satanic religion is what they believe.
Satanic, and then as the accuser, and then f- flip the story, a twist ending. The accuser becomes the, what's the word I'm
Mhm.
looking for?
Advocate,
Advocate.
just exactly like has unfolded, and it wasn't an accident. It's not a coincidence. This is the plan. God wins. That's their mantra. God wins. That's the God of Israel's going to win. The
Charlie,
script writers,
Charlie,
the
God
architects of the
wins.
Abrahamic myths are the ones that are going to come out on top,
Yeah,
not the derivative spin-off religions.
God, this damn Khazarian mafia, these damn
Right.
Jesuits. What do you have to say about that? I know you've been.
Yeah. The conspiracy, like the Christians wouldn't exist if not for the Torah. So to say it's the Jesuits in the Catholic Church when they're the dupes that believe in the God of, they're the former Roman Empire that got conquered and the God of Israel imposed on them basically, and then used them as an empire to impose it on the rest of the enemy nations who, like the prophecies say, that they would all worship the God of Zion, and that's what happened.
The Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, the Friends of Jesus, they came out of Spain, where the Sephardic were popular, known as the
Yeah, the Kabbalists.
Conversos,
Yeah. Hmm.
and Ignatius Loyola was pretty sure one. And it was been like a long known conspiracy that the Jesuits were majorly crypto. And then once an actual Jesuit took the papacy, that's when it was like, oh, it's over now, even though it was over a long time before. That was over when Rome took Christianity as its original religion. But that was a big sign. And if you've seen Pope Francis's actions lately, definitely showing off our mark of Cain that all of the Christians bear, total guilt-ridden Shabbos goy. All right, well, Adam, thank you so much. What are you making that face for?
Oh, I was Googling Loyola, Ignatius Loyola as a converso crypto and seeing what the headlines were. I know I've seen,
Um,
like, this is a serious thing that people are talking about.
Pope, yeah, right. Pope Francis came out of Argentina. Argentina is the biggest population, like almost outside of Israel, but definitely in South America of the Jacobs brothers and sisters.
The descendants of Jacob, the holy seed, the
It's
chosen birthright, the ones with the birthright.
a lot of that goes to the constellation Gemini. At the heel of Pollux, which is the star closer to the pole star light. At the heel is called, it's a bright star, is called the Mark, and it's at the heel of Pollux, and then Castor is like stepping on its heel. And so the whole, like, they were in the womb together and he was grabbing onto the heel. That's an astral myth, not freaking reality.
I've also seen theories that the Jacob and Esau story comes from Egypt as well.
Well, Set and Osiris were brothers.
Yeah.
Set killed Osiris through a sex magic ritual, um, gave birth to Horus. Isis collected 13 pieces. The 14th one was fashioned a phallic, fashioned by Thoth, who's like Mercury or Hermes, which is why I think we have 13 original colonies. They didn't pick that number just for shits and giggles. It has to do with the feminine because there's 13 phases, 13 cycles of the moon a year. I mean, we have a freaking pyramid on our dollar bill, and we have the Star of David of Remfram on the top of the American eagle. The eagle is a symbol for Horus, Ra, as the sign Scorpio. Actually, I could just go on and on. What else you got going on today anymore?
Yeah, it's almost like they have us as the new Egypt.
Egypt.
Egypt, it was like the epitome of the Old Testament in Genesis of like the evil Gentile empire.
Yeah, I grew up listening to this
The
story.
original Edom in a way.
I grew up listening to this story, like rooting for Pharaoh to like. No historical evidence ever of a enslaved, even slavery in Egypt, I think, but especially these Mesopotamian Canaanites or Babylonians, what we call Judeans. No evidence of that. What I argue for is a critical historical approach to religious studies. And if you do that honestly, you will come to the conclusion that Jesus was not a historical person, as neither was Abraham, nor Moses, or Jacob, or any of it. Lots of it is astral myth. And so it was created. And then why was it created? Ultimately, Christianity to subvert the Gentile, and followed by Islam to be the broom to swipe out Christianity, so that Christianity and Judaism and Islam just wipe each other out. And guess who's left to rule from Jerusalem and its law going forth? Not us, Goyim. Not us. So we're waking up to this.
Yeah, and it sounds crazy when we say it, but this is what they believe in Armageddon. Gog and Magog is going to happen. It's not a question.
And they've had Russia pinned as like Gog or Magog, or is it Germany?
They said Germany was too. Yeah, it's Tovia Singer compared it to the Leviathan. So it's a snake and it slithers all around. So it's just their enemy is whoever they want to claim is their enemy, and deserves it and has God's judgment and wrath coming for them.
It's like
and they say that They say that's America in the Christian West nowadays.
Yeah, the rabbis talk about America as we know is Edom. Well, you just said it. And what
the
was
Rabbi Reuben clip? He goes, "Why is America's Edom? Why? Because it's Edom."
I'm like, oh, well, perfect reasoning. Clip. When you put it like that, you can't argue against that.
Yeah, strong argument, Rabbi.
I mean, just look what happened to Egypt. Look what happened to Greece and Rome. And there's a story that multiple accounts that the Jacobians went out and opened up the city gates and let them come right on in. I mean, I don't know how much truth there is to that, but what do you see happening at our southern border? I mean, I'm definitely no Trumpster, and I love Mexicans, but I know if you want to take down a country, you're going to want to not have strong borders. That doesn't take rocket scientist or some white supremac nationalistic ideology to come to terms with.
I live sort of close to the border in California, and there's always been a huge wall there. So like the idea, Trump says, "Oh, we're going to build a wall." My whole life there's been a wall here, and so it's like no big deal. I don't see what all the big fuss is about. Like the wall's racist. Trump's racist because he wants a wall. And it was really just a dog whistle. He didn't end up really building all that much of it, and it was just something, to throw a bone to his nationalist supporters, basically.
Like I was thinking in my head, like what Trump did for America, and then in a window right next to it, what he did for Israel. He did so much more for Israel than he did for America. I get what black unemployment rates were at one of its lowest. I think that's, and I guess our gas was cheaper. I mean, you just can't defend Biden at all. And then they really do look like they're setting up as Trump to come in as this second coming messianic type thing. Who's that guy on Twitter who, Donnie Darko?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about
Donnie,
it. I mean, I don't
yeah.
agree. He's a Trumpster and he's like always praising Jesus. But he does bring some good evidence forth. That's the narrative that seems that they're trying to push.
Yeah, we'll see. I told him I'll have him back on if Trump wins, and we'll see how the video ages. He did a video. He thinks that he's playing the role. Well, he's a Christian, so he believes that Trump actually is the Antichrist. I think that they have him groomed to fill a role, a messianic-esque role.
Yeah. Um, I I reached out to this girl on a Messenger who wrote "Crucifying the Bible." She's
Yeah,
friends.
you're simping.
Yeah, I don't know because I think I want to start interviewing more people now. Hopefully, I'll get better by the next time I have you on.
She's the one that was a Christian and then became a Noahide because of Tovia Singer
Shut up.
and joined Hebrew roots. Yeah, she'll be interesting to talk to.
Well, guess what? She doesn't want to talk to me. So Deborah Grace is her name. So she wrote back to me. She's like, Liam, I went on your channel, and it is not something that I'm interested in being a part of. It's just the Aquarian TV. I'm like, damn.
She'll probably say the same thing to me, but I'm not even really want to talk to her.
Me neither. Well, she was critical of the Bible, but that's all I knew about her. And she wrote a book. It got published. But then I've seen some of her stuff, and what it did, it made me more hopeful that I could get a book published one day. Maybe if I don't
Was it
want to
that
talk
bad?
too bad about her. I know I don't want to sound like I'm talking trash, but maybe you've thought about writing a book. Do you think you could do it?
I can do anything.
Yes,
I
you
can do anything I set my mind to.
That's the attitude. Do you have good writing skills? I don't know. You have good documenting
No.
skills.
I don't. Not the greatest writer.
You're able to put together your videos just by quoting and showing what other people say. That's a big part of just putting a book out there. Is just quoting other people and setting it up.
I definitely have enough information, but just I don't know. I feel like it's the medium that I like is more just free flow, live streams, that kind of thing.
Well, you do a great job at it, and keep it up. Thank God Odyssey at least still is a place where you could do it. You've been banned off of the majority of online places, huh? How many subs did you have on your YouTube channel before it got taken down?
135,000.
No.
Mm-hmm.
That should be criminal. And then out of those 135,000, why so few of them could make the jump over to the other platforms? Are they just lazy? Not technically inclined? Scared?
It's just
Scared?
people scared of clicking links that they don't know. It's because their smart TVs and their phones are all preloaded with YouTube apps is another reason.
You share a BitChute clip, even on Twitter, and a screen comes up. Are you sure you want to click on this? It could be dangerous or hazardous. And older people and probably those less tech savvy get all freaked out. They don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're scaring people away for sure. And it's just another website that you have to, give your email, create a password, and sign up.
I am in the description. I put an advertisement for No More Religion. I'm not sure if. Hopefully, that wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, some other person out there must have put up this channel and just got some good material, and I hope it gets some followings. But if people do want to check you out on BitChute, you have a good amount of videos cataloged there. If you could weed through all the QAnon BS that's always highlighted and featured, total controlled opposition.
Oh, it's the worst, man. Every day I look at the top trending videos, and seeing all these total cranks and all this delusional QAnon stuff,
And
it's
we
pretty
we were
pretty
calling
frustrating.
we were calling it a cult, and now like one of the head guys is asking for tithing. Like, well,
Yeah, they all do that.
we gotta get.
They're all prophets. They're all saying, "Oh, pay money to God." That's paying money to them.
Yeah, if you want to help,
It's the template for the Christ grift.
if you want to help out somebody who's actually doing real news and not grifting, then go to Subscribestar and No More News, and just for not that much a month is a way to steadily keep Adam able to do his work and now even feed a family. So I know that's
Yeah. I was banned on Patreon, which was a few months ago, which was one of my main sources of income, and still haven't recouped what I was making there on Subscribestar with new signups. So they know deplatforming works, and that's why they're so persistent at it, and they won't stop until you are banned from everywhere on the internet. It's not build your own, and they'll come after everything.
well, may the God of Amalek Esau give
Cain.
you the
That's
courage.
Samael. That's their controlled opposition Satan dialectic.
I say we just take it on. Say, I don't know, Odin.
Odin.
Yeah,
I like to troll the Christians that we believe in Odin and the All Father.
it looks a lot cooler than Jesus dying on a cross. That a Jewish, the anti-Semitic Christian is like, yeah, the J's whatever, and then
I like my gods that don't die, that aren't weak and die.
well, he came back. Death didn't defeat him. Just every historian around the time and 300 years after just didn't happen to document it. And any notice of just the Christians, not even Jesus, have been proved to be pious forgeries.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just think, what's more likely, that some ancient Jays were making up these myths and just constructing fables, or all of this really happened?
I think
And
people have a hard time to like, oh, so they created this psyop 2,000 years ago and just now it's playing out. Like, well,
it's been playing out the whole time.
yeah, and it took like 350 years, maybe 400 years actually, for it to get put into place. As I study the origins of Christianity, I think Philo of Alexandria and these Hellenized Jacobites in Alexandria, Egypt, scripted it and then gave it to Vespasian and Titus, the Flavians, to come in. The guy who led the destruction of the temple, like the number 2 in charge behind Titus, was a Jacobian. And
Tiberius Alexander,
yeah.
the nephew of Philo.
Yeah.
Philo, who was basically creating a syncretic blend of Judaism and Platonic
Platonism.
Orphic myths with the Logos, even calling Logos Yeshua, and citing the verse that is basically the template, one of the template sources, the source material for the Jesus myth.
Yeah.
Zechariah.
And then recently, the guy who, I think you even had him on, who wrote Caesar's Messiah, Atwell.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one who, kind of in the same vein, they're like, how the Roman elite created Christianity. Totally
That's something you see everywhere. All of these atheists, critical of religion channels, they're all promoting the Romans created as a conspiracy. But they won't entertain it's a conspiracy against the Romans. It just screams of psyop to me.
Our favorite, we want to myth vision. What a sad turn of events that turned down to. This is somebody who I'm like, oh, he's getting on real scholars and bringing on people in that world, the academia. And then when it came to you, he's scared to even touch you. And then when you came on and took down the Kabbalah professor, and he had to do that cleanup video the very next day without even mentioning your video that you did. I'm like, God.
Without even watching it.
Without even watching it, so that other people were just telling
I give
him.
2 hours of examples of all the horrible stuff in Kabbalah, and then he spins it into a video about anti-Semitism and doesn't even know any of the material. It's the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. You don't want to learn what you don't want to have to talk about, because he knows, like everybody in these communities know, that you will be destroyed if you are critical of the root of all these Abrahamic faiths.
And then when he was asked about it, the professor says, well, you know what? You might not be anti-Semitic, but when you start surrounding yourself with Nazis and you keep your company with types like that, then you should take a step back and start reassessing things. I'm like, what does that have to do with the price of freaking apples in May or what? I forget that.
Dude, that's what their go-to anti-Semitism, Nazi. That's their go-to to put you in a box, to not have to address anything you say, to dismiss you, knee-jerk reaction, offhand, and yeah, I mean, it's total typical type of response. Forget that I'm accurately pointing out all these supremacist, horrible beliefs, anti-Gentile beliefs. Let's spin it that you're evil for exposing the truth.
Yeah, they overplayed the Nazi thing recently with Ukraine and Russia. Putin says he's denazifying Ukraine, and then the Ukrainians call Putin's actions very Hitler-like. So it's just like you're just pointing at each other. You're a Nazi. No, you're a Nazi. You're a Nazi.
That's what the left and the right do all the time too, and then all the QAnon and the InfoWars people say that's who's really in charge. That the Fourth Reich is really running everything. Oh, it's not the Jays; they're just the scapegoats. It's the Khazarians that are running the Fourth Reich behind everything. The evil pagans. That's the narrative that they promote.
It's okay, Charlie. God wins, Charlie. Right? God wouldn't do this. The God of Abraham and Jacob, not the God of our ancestors. Adam Green, no more freaking news, out there doing the most with it. Subscribe to his Odyssey. If you're just new to being introduced to him, go through his BitChute videos. Get comfortable.
Subscribe on Odyssey for the live show.
Usually twice a week, usually earlier in the week and later in the week. 2-hour streams. He's interviewed the likes of David Icke, all types. You've interviewed a good amount of people, including yours truly.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
I can check my guests. Let's see here. 101 guest folders of people that I've had on the show.
Damn. Do you have an external hard drive?
Oh, I've got
a couple.
4. I've got 4 plugged in every USB. I got 2 fibers, no, 3 fibers and 1 2.
You ever get like a little bit paranoid, like that Mossad might come and get you? Do you ever have like a car, like a white van parked in front of your house, and you just sit there and you're like, oh, I guess this is it.
Well, I have the hard drives backed up on backup hard drives too, but yes, I do worry about being hacked or, somebody, not even Mossad, but just anybody, trying to rob my computer, like all of the hard work and research that's in there, like that would really be devastating, which is why I'm so important to back everything up and not in the clouds on backup hard drives.
Yeah, they could take out a cloud pretty easily too, I'm sure.
All right, well, thanks for having me on. NoMoreNews.org to find all my links.
That'll go. And outro song. Let's make it up with my own mouth. Da-da-da-da-da. Next one I'll have one. Or that ominous Nirvana song. All right.
Are we still live?